Billionaire Nnamdi Okorafor had conquered everything except one thing: marriage. At 35, he owned skyscrapers, oil blocks, luxury cars, and companies that printed money like newspapers. His face appeared on business magazines. His voice could silence boardrooms. But mention wedding, and the man would suddenly remember an urgent meeting in Antarctica. Marriage to Nnamdi was a polite prison. And unfortunately for him, his parents were the wardens. The daily marriage sermon. That evening, Nnamdi sat comfortably in his parents' living room, sipping freshly blended juice, scrolling through stock reports on his phone. His mother stared at him, not the normal stare, the "I gave birth to you and I'm not done with you yet" stare. "Nnamdi," she called sweetly. "Yes, Mommy," he replied without looking up. "Do you know that your mates are naming their children after us?" He paused. "Good for them." His father cleared his throat. "Son, when will you bring a woman home?" Nnamdi sighed. "I already bring money home. Isn't that enough?" His mother gasped dramatically. "Money cannot call me grandma." "Marriage is not food," Nnamdi said calmly. "I'm not hungry." His parents exchanged looks. Dangerous looks. Parents with a plan. Later that night, while Nnamdi discussed business on the phone, his mother entered the kitchen. She stared at the food on the stove, like a scientist about to change the world. "This boy thinks he is wiser than us," she muttered. His father leaned closer. "Are you sure this will work?" She nodded confidently. "It's not poison, it's just emotional motivation." They stirred the food carefully. "By tomorrow," his mother smiled, "he will be begging for a wife." Dinner of destiny. Nnamdi sat down to eat, completely unaware his destiny was swimming inside the soup. "This food tastes different," he said. His mother smiled too quickly. "Love seasoning." He shrugged and finished the plate. Minutes later, his heart started behaving strangely. His chest felt warm. His brain felt romantic. "Why am I suddenly thinking about weddings?" he muttered. A picture of himself in traditional attire flashed in his mind. He shook his head violently. "No, this is nonsense." He stood up abruptly. "I'm going out." "Good," his mother said softly. "Very good." The urge he couldn't control. As Nnamdi drove through the city, the feeling grew stronger. Couples on the street irritated him. Engagement rings annoyed him. Even a billboard that read, "True love exists," offended him personally. "I need air," he said, parking near a nightclub. Inside, the music was loud. Lights flashed. Alcohol flowed. One drink became two. Two became irresponsible. The drug finally shook hands with the alcohol, and they agreed to destroy his life. A billionaire loses his sense. Suddenly, Nnamdi jumped onto a table. Security froze. The DJ stopped the music. Nnamdi pulled out bundles of cash and threw them into the air like confetti. "I am ready to marry," he announced proudly. The crowd screamed. "Any woman that wants to marry, raise your hand." Some women raised both hands. Some screamed. Some called their mothers. And somewhere across the bar, fate lifted its finger. Meanwhile, a girl with a broken heart. At the other end of the club sat Chinye. Her eyes were tired. Her soul was heavier than her purse. Her mother lay sick in the hospital. Doctors called her phone more than relatives. Bills waited patiently to ruin her life. That night, she drank to forget. "Barman!" she shouted, raising her hand weakly. "Another drink before I faint." Her hands stayed in the air. The mistake that changed everything. Nnamdi saw her. One raised hand. One tired face. One destiny he misunderstood. "That's my wife," he declared confidently. He marched toward her and grabbed her wrist. "Madam," he slurred happily, "let us go and marry." Chinye blinked slowly. "Marry who?" "Me," Nnamdi said proudly. "I am rich." She laughed. "Then buy me another drink." And with that, two drunk strangers stepped into the night, walking straight into history. The night air was cold, but neither Nnamdi nor Chinye noticed. They staggered out of the nightclub like two people who had lost a bet with life itself. Nnamdi waved down his driver with the confidence of a man who believed the universe obeyed him. "We're getting married," he announced proudly. The driver blinked. "Sir, tonight?" Yes, immediately, before love changes its mind. Chin'e laughed so hard she almost fell. Married, Kay? Brother, do you even know my surname? Nanamdi waved his hand. Names are details. Love is the headline. The court that never sleeps, somehow, through connections money could only explain, they arrived at a small court that looked half asleep. The clerk stared at them over thick glasses. Young people, she sighed. Are you sure about this? Nanamdi slapped money on the table. Madam, we are sure in advance. Chin'e leaned over and whispered, Auntie, if I regret this tomorrow, can I return it? The clerk paused. Return what? My husband. The clerk adjusted her glasses again. Sign here. They signed. Neither of them read anything. Love didn't bother with fine print. Married and missing outside the court. Nanamdi raised his hands victoriously. I have a wife. Chin'e clapped weakly. I think I have a husband. They stared at each other. Awkward silence. So, what now? Chin'e asked. Nanamdi checked his watch. I have a very important meeting tomorrow. Oh, she nodded. Me too. With poverty. They nodded respectfully and walked away in opposite directions. Marriage achieved. Connection failed. Morning madness. The next morning, pop, bang, fireworks exploded inside Nanamdi's bedroom. He flew out of bed like a man escaping arrest. Who died? His parents danced in with balloons. Congratulations, husband of the year. Nanamdi blinked. What husband? His mother waved a paper like it was a winning lottery ticket. You married yesterday. Nanamdi squinted. Marriage certificate. His name. Her name. Chin'e. He rubbed his face. This is fake. His father smiled calmly. Government does not do fake. Denial is a river in Egypt. I did not marry anyone, Nanamdi insisted. You did, his mother said sweetly. We even printed extra copies. Nanamdi stood up angrily. I don't know her. I don't like her. I don't want her. His mother crossed her arms. Then go and find her. And do what? Bring her home. Nanamdi scoffed. I'll bring her home. To divorce court. His parents gasped. Divorce? His mother shouted. Over our dead bodies. They walked out proudly, leaving Nanamdi staring at his new identity. Husband. Meanwhile, another shock. Across town, Chin'e woke up on her narrow bed with a headache powerful enough to resign her from life. Why is my hand aching? She groaned. She looked down. A ring. Her eyes widened. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Her phone buzzed. Hospital calling again. Bills. 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 She sat up. Marriage later. Hunger first. She grabbed her CV. I need a job before my husband comes to claim me. 2 people, same mission. That morning, 2 married strangers made the same decision. Find spouse. Divorce fast. Move on. Neither knew fate was laughing already. That morning, fate woke up early. And it chose violence. A woman on a mission, Chin'e stepped out into the noisy Lagos morning, gripping her CV like it was her last-born child. God, she whispered, adjusting her cheap flats. Today must work. Even security job is fine. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. Hunger was normal. Hope was rare. By noon, her legs hurt, her confidence was shaking, and rejection had greeted her more times than greeting cards. Then she stood before a towering glass building. The kind that screamed, if you don't belong here, security will remind you. She swallowed hard. Let me just try. Welcome to the lion's den. Inside, everything shined. Marble floors, glass walls, soft music, cold air conditioning that slapped poverty directly. Chin'e's eyes widened. Even the air here is rich, she murmured. She clutched her CV tighter and approached the reception. I want to submit my CV, she said politely. The receptionist nodded. Go to the top floor. Chin'e blinked. Top floor? Like heaven? Meanwhile, the angry husband. At the same time, Namdi stormed into the building from the opposite entrance. Phone pressed to his ear. Mom, I said I'm not bringing any wife home today. Pause. No, I don't care if you've cooked jollof rice. He marched forward, coffee in hand, suit perfectly fitted, anger perfectly brewed. I am divorcing her, he snapped. When worlds collide, Chin'e turned a corner. Namdi turned a corner. Life did not give them warning. Boom! Coffee flew. Files flew. Destiny laughed. Brown liquid splashed all over Chinae's blouse and CV. "My CV!" she screamed. Namdi froze. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." He looked up. Her face felt familiar. Too familiar. He squinted. "Have we met before?" Chinae glared at him like he had just ruined her life, because he had. "Sir," she snapped, "if we met in my dream, I would not forget someone who spilled coffee on my future." People stared. Namdi panicked. "Please, let me help you clean it." She bent down, gathering the soaked papers. "No need," she muttered angrily. "I didn't even submit it. My destiny is soaked now." She walked away. Namdi watched her go, confused. Why does she look like someone I offended spiritually? A day that refused to improve. Outside, Chinae sat on a bench, staring at her ruined CV. Tears threatened her eyes. "God, is today cursed?" she whispered. She stood up again. "I won't cry. I'll keep walking." And she did. All day, job after job, rejection after rejection, until her mind wandered. The second almost disaster. Lost in thought, Chinae stepped onto the road without looking. Screech, a black luxury car, stopped inches from her. People screamed. Namdi jumped out like his life depended on it. "Are you okay?" he shouted. Chinae lifted her head slowly, then froze. "You again?" Namdi froze too. "Wait, it's you." She crossed her arms angrily. "Sir, is today your special assignment to destroy my life?" He raised both hands. "Please, I swear I didn't plan this." She scoffed. "First coffee, now car. What's next? Airplane?" Namdi laughed nervously. "I'm really sorry. Let me apologize properly." She eyed his car suspiciously. "I don't follow strangers." "I'm not a stranger," he said quickly. "I'm the CEO of the office you went to earlier." She gasped quietly. "CEO?" Her anger paused. Her brain calculated. "Job opportunity. Dinner with destiny." "Okay," she said carefully. "But if you kidnap me, I will scream." Namdi smiled. "Fair deal." As they drove off, fate smiled too. Because neither of them knew. They were already married. The inside of the car was colder than Chinae's entire life combined. She sat stiffly, hands folded on her lap, eyes glued to the window as the city sped past. "So," Namdi cleared his throat, "do you eat?" She turned slowly. "Sir, is that a trick question?" He chuckled awkwardly. "I mean, let me buy you dinner. Proper apology." She eyed him sideways. "Last time someone apologized like this, I ended up owing transport money." "I promise," he said sincerely. "No suffering attached." She sighed. "Okay, but if this turns strange, I'll jump out." He smiled. "I respect your honesty." A very wrong restaurant. The car stopped in front of a massive glass building glowing with gold lights. Chinae's mouth opened. "This is not a restaurant," she said carefully. "This place sells clothes that can pay my rent for 10 years. Namdi stepped out calmly. "Exactly," she blinked. "You said dinner." "I did. But first, an apology upgrade." He gestured inside. "I spilled coffee on you. I'll replace the dress." Her voice dropped. "Sir, I didn't ask for—" "I know," he interrupted gently. "That's why I insist." Security bowed as they entered. Chinae whispered, "Even the door respects you." A girl surrounded by luxury. Inside, mannequins stood dressed like royalty. Chinae touched one dress carefully like it might scream. "Sir, this dress is shining more than my future." Namdi laughed. "Pick anything." She shook her head. "Let me just eat rice, please." Namdi leaned closer and whispered, "I own this place." Her eyes widened. "Ah!" Suddenly, courage arrived. She picked a modest but elegant gown. Transformation. In the changing room, Chinae stared at herself in the mirror. "This is me?" she whispered. The dress hugged her perfectly. When she stepped out, Namdi froze. Not because of beauty alone, but because something inside him shifted. "You look wow," he said softly. She blushed. "Thank you. I will return it after eating." He laughed. No returns. Dinner with a stranger. They arrived at the most expensive restaurant in the city. Chinae whispered, "If I wash plates here, how much will they pay?" Namdi laughed loudly. They ate. They talked. She laughed freely for the first time in months. "My name is Chinie," she said between bites. Namdi's fork paused mid-air. That name, again, his heartbeat skipped. The call that changed everything. His phone rang. "Mom," he sighed and picked up. "Yes, Mom." "Have you found your wife?" she demanded. He rubbed his forehead. "I'm going to divorce her." "Try it and see," she warned and hung up. Chinie watched him curiously. "Problem?" He hesitated. "Can you help me?" She raised an eyebrow. "How?" "Pretend to be my wife." She laughed. "Sir, I'm already married." Silence. They stared. "You too?" "Yes." They burst into laughter. Fate smiles. Neither of them knew. They were laughing with their spouse. That night, fate stopped being patient. It decided to sit both of them down and say, "Enough pretending." A mother who wouldn't let go. The moment Namdi stepped into his house, he knew peace had packed its bags. His parents stood at the entrance, like statues from a museum of stubbornness. His mother crossed her arms. "Where is she?" Namdi sighed deeply. "Mom, I told you, I don't even know her." "You know her now," his father said calmly. "We have her number." Namdi froze. "How?" His mother smiled innocently. "Marriage records are very cooperative." She pushed him toward the door. "Go and meet your wife. Crystal Hotel, room 601. "Why a hotel?" he demanded. "To talk," his mother replied, "and maybe to bond." "I am going there to divorce," Namdi warned. "Divorce later," she waved him off. "First, go." Meanwhile, a phone call that changed everything. Chinie was unlocking her door when her phone rang. "Hello?" A warm voice answered. "My daughter-in-law." She blinked. "Sorry, wrong number." "No, correct number," the woman laughed. "I'm Namhi's mother." Silence. Chinie's brain rebooted. "The man from the club?" she asked carefully. "Yes, you married my son." Chinie sighed heavily. "Please tell him I want divorce." The woman chuckled. "Come and tell him yourself. Crystal Hotel, room 601. "Why hotel?" Chinie asked. "To talk," the mother replied sweetly, "and maybe to reconcile." "I am not reconciling," Chinie said firmly. "We shall see." The woman replied and hung up. The hotel that lied. Crystal Hotel glowed like a promise it had no right to make. Chinie arrived first. The receptionist smiled politely. "Room 601? "Yes," Chinie replied, suspicious. The door opened. Roses, candles, heart-shaped decorations everywhere. She stopped short. "This is not a divorce environment," she whispered. She sat on the couch, arms folded. "I came to end a marriage, not start honeymoon." 2 paths, 1 door minutes later. Namdi arrived. He collected the keycard, already tired. "Room 601, he muttered. The door opened. He stepped inside, and froze. Chinie stood up sharply. "You?" He blinked. "You?" Silence crashed into the room. "You're following me now?" she demanded. "I'm here to divorce my wife," he replied. She laughed bitterly. "Me too." They stared. Then realization struck like lightning. "You're my wife? You're my husband?" They burst into laughter. Uncontrollable laughter. Wine, truth, everything. And shared regret. They sat down, still laughing, sipping wine meant for romance. "I didn't even know your name that night," Namdi admitted. "I thought you were the bartender," Chinie replied. "So, divorce?" he asked. "Yes," she nodded. Immediately, they clinked glasses. To terrible decisions. Morning surprise. The next morning, they arrived at Namdi's house together. Before Chinie could sit, she saw her mother standing, smiling, healthy. "Mama?" Tears rushed her eyes. Namdi's parents stepped forward. "We paid the bills," his mother said. "And we drugged our son," his father added. "What?" Namdi shouted. Chinie laughed through tears. Love hadn't entered yet, but fate had locked the door. The mansion felt different the moment Chinie stepped inside as Namdi's wife, not legally acknowledged by her heart, but stamped boldly on paper. The marble floors gleamed under the morning sunlight. Chandeliers sparkled like they were celebrating a wedding that neither bride nor groom had planned. And yet, here they were. Chinie clutched her small handbag like a shield. Namdi walked beside her, hands in his pockets, jaw tight. If embarrassment could kill, both of them would have been buried that morning. His mother clapped her hands happily. "From today," she announced, smiling like a woman who had just won a war, "my son and his wife will live together." Namdi almost choked on air. "Live together?" he repeated slowly, turning to his mother. "Mama, we agreed on meeting, not cohabitation." His father cleared his throat. "Marriage is not conference call, Namdi. You cannot log out and log in later." Chiney bit her lip, trying not to laugh. His mother turned to her warmly. "My daughter, don't worry. This is your home now." Chiney nodded politely. "Thank you, Ma," she said, then whispered under her breath, "God, how did I enter this movie?" The room arrangement disaster. Minutes later, Namdi's mother personally escorted Chiney upstairs. "This is your room," she said, opening the master bedroom. The room looked like something out of a romance magazine. King-sized bed, silk curtains, soft lighting, and roses on the bedside table. Chiney froze. Namdi rushed forward. "Mama, no, absolutely not." His mother raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean, no? Is this not your wife?" "Yes, but what?" she snapped. "Do you want neighbors to think my son sleeps in the guest room?" Chiney quickly waved her hands. "Ma, it's okay. I can sleep in the guest room." His mother laughed. "Guest room? In your husband's house?" Namdi muttered. This house is becoming a trap. Finally, after a long argument that involved ego proverbs, eye contact threats, and dramatic sighs, his mother sighed. "Fine, for now. Separate rooms. But remember, you are married." She walked away like a victorious general. Namdi exhaled deeply. "Thank you," he told Chiney. She shrugged. "You're welcome. Temporary husband." They stared at each other for a moment, then both burst into awkward laughter. Breakfast tension. The next morning, they sat across from each other at a long dining table that could comfortably seat 10 people. Between them, silence. Servants moved around, placing food, eggs, toast, tea, fruits, like this was a normal morning. Nandi cleared his throat. "So, how did you sleep?" Chiney nodded. "On a mattress worth more than my future," she replied honestly. He chuckled despite himself. "Sorry about all this." She stirred her tea. "I signed a marriage certificate in a club. I think we're past normal apologies." "Fair point." His mother watched them from the head of the table with sharp eyes. "So," she said casually, "when are you two giving me grandchildren?" Namdi almost dropped his fork. "Mama!" Chiney choked on her tea. "Ma!" His mother smiled innocently. "I am just asking," his father murmured. "She is always just asking." The house rules. Later that day, Namdi called Chiney aside. "Listen," he said seriously, "we need rules." "Agreed," she replied quickly. He counted on his fingers. Rule 1, this is temporary. Rule 2, no pretending in public beyond necessary. Rule 3, my parents must not suspect anything. Chiney nodded. Rule 4, I need a job. He paused. "You're serious?" "My mother is well now, thanks to your parents," she said softly. "But I still need to stand on my own." He studied her for a moment, really looked at her. Not as a problem, not as a wife, just a woman trying to survive. "I'll help you," he said. She smiled. "Thank you," then added quickly, "as my fake husband." He smirked. "Of course." Nighttime confessions. That night, the mansion was quiet. Chiney sat on the balcony outside her room, staring at the city lights. Namdi stepped out, holding 2 bottles of water. "Peace offering," he said, handing her one. They sat in silence for a while. "You know," Chiney said softly, "I never planned to marry anyone, especially not a billionaire." Namdi laughed quietly. "Same, except the billionaire part." She smiled, then sighed. "Life is strange." He nodded. "Very strange." For the first time since the club, the silence between them felt comfortable. Neither of them noticed it, but somewhere inside that mansion, fate smiled and locked the door. If living under the same roof was awkward, pretending to be happily married in public was a full-blown disaster waiting to happen. It started on a Monday morning. Namdi stood in front of the mirror adjusting his cufflinks when his mother's voice echoed from downstairs like a royal announcement. "Namdi, my friend from the Women's Association is visiting today. Bring your wife down and behave like a married man." Namdi groaned. "I should have moved abroad." Crash course in fake marriage. Chinye appeared at his bedroom door holding a cup of tea. "We need to talk," she said calmly. He turned. "Please tell me this is about divorce." "No, it's about survival." She stepped in. "Your parents are watching us like CCTV cameras. If we make one mistake, they'll know." He sighed. "So what do we do?" She raised her eyebrow. "We act." Namdi blinked. "Act how?" She cleared her throat and gently placed her hand on his arm. "Like this." He stiffened immediately. "Why are you touching me?" She whispered through clenched teeth. "Because married people touch, sir." The living room performance downstairs. Namdi's mother sat proudly with her friend, while his father pretended to read the newspaper. Pretended, because the paper hadn't moved in 10 minutes. "Good morning, Mama," Chinye said sweetly. Namdi wrapped an arm around her shoulders, forcing a smile so wide his cheeks hurt. His mother's eyes sparkled. "Ah, you see how marriage has softened my son?" she bragged. Chinye smiled politely, thinking, "Softened? This man is as stiff as dried stockfish." Then Namdi leaned down and whispered, "Are you smiling or suffering?" She replied without turning her head, "If you don't relax, your mother will ask if we fought last night." He swallowed and pulled her closer. Too close. His heart beat faster. He cleared his throat. "Tea, my love?" She almost choked. "My love?" But she recovered quickly. "Yes, dear." His mother clapped her hands. See romance, jealousy makes an appearance. Later that afternoon, Namdi decided to take Chinye to the office, to make the marriage look official. The moment she stepped into the building, heads turned, secretaries whispered, staff stared. One of Namdi's female executives smiled a little too brightly. "So this is your wife?" Chinye smiled back. "Yes," the woman laughed. "She's younger than I imagined." Namdi frowned. He didn't know why, but he didn't like that tone. "She's perfect," he said sharply. Chinye turned to look at him. Perfect? That was new. Office chaos. In his office, Chinye sat quietly while Namdi attended meetings. Staff kept finding excuses to pass by. "Sir, do you need water?" "Sir, is Madam comfortable?" "Sir, should Madam have lunch?" Namdi finally snapped. "I'm married, not pregnant." Chinye laughed so hard she had to cover her mouth. Then a young male staff member walked in with files. "Good afternoon, madam," he said politely. Chinye smiled. "Good afternoon." The man smiled back. "You look very beautiful." Namdi looked up sharply. "Is the file greeting her, or are you?" The office fell silent. Chinye blinked. Is he jealous? The drive home. On the way back home, silence filled the car. "You didn't have to shout at him," Chinye said finally. "He was crossing boundaries," Namdi replied. "He only greeted me." Namdi gripped the steering wheel. "Men don't only greet." She stared at him. "Why do you care?" He paused. "I don't," he said quickly, but his tone betrayed him. Almost a mistake. That night, after another flawless performance in front of his parents, they stood in the hallway. "You did well today," Namdi said quietly. "You too," Chinye replied. They stood too close. The air shifted. He leaned slightly forward. She held her breath. Then his mother coughed loudly from behind them. Ahem. They jumped apart like guilty teenagers. "Good night," Chinye said quickly, rushing into her room. Namdi stood there, staring at her door, confused. He had never wanted to get married. So why did pretending suddenly feel dangerous? Love never asked Namdi for permission. It crept in quietly, between shared breakfasts, stolen glances, fake smiles that slowly became real, and arguments that ended in laughter instead of anger. By the time Namdi realized it, divorce was no longer on his mind. When the pretense cracked, the truth came out one evening during dinner. Chinye sat quietly, her appetite gone. Namdi noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" he asked. She hesitated. "I got a job offer today." He smiled. "That's good news." "Yes," she said softly. "It's in another city." The smile froze. "Oh." Silence filled the table. "I'll leave tomorrow," she added, "once I sort the divorce papers." The word divorce hit him harder than expected. That night, Namdi couldn't sleep. For the first time in his life, the thought of losing someone scared him. The truth to his parents. The next morning, Namdi stood before his parents. "You drugged me," he said calmly. "You tricked me into marriage." His mother nodded. "Yes, but I fell in love," he continued. "Not because of drugs, because of her." His parents exchanged looks. His father smiled. "Then our madness worked better than we planned." His mother wiped her eyes. "Bring her home properly." A love that chose itself. Namdi found Chennai packing. "Don't go," he said. She turned. "You're just afraid of being alone." "No," he replied. "I'm afraid of life without you." He took a breath. "I don't want a divorce. I want you." Tears filled her eyes. "But we were drunk," she whispered. "Yes," he said, "but I'm sober now, and I'm choosing you." She stepped forward slowly. "And if I say yes," she asked, "I'll spend the rest of my life proving it." She smiled through tears. "Then stop pretending." The real wedding, 6 months later, Lagos stood still. The wedding wasn't forced. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't arranged with drugs. It was chosen. Chennai walked down the aisle in a simple, elegant gown. Her mother seated proudly in the front row. Healthy and smiling, Namdi waited, nervous and hopelessly in love. When the priest asked, "Do you take her?" "Yes," Namdi said immediately. Laughter filled the church. Chennai grinned. "I haven't answered yet." She turned serious. "Yes, I do." Years later, Namdi would laugh when asked how he met his wife. "In a nightclub," he'd say, "while trying not to get married." Chennai would add, "He thought I raised my hand for marriage. I was calling the bartender." Their children loved that story because it reminded them of one simple truth. Sometimes the greatest love stories begin with a mistake and end with a choice. Love cannot be forced, but destiny sometimes needs a push. If you enjoyed this story, like, share, subscribe for more billionaire romance stories. Thank you for watching.